Well, welcome everybody. We'll get started at 6 o'clock. We do have some people joining us via a Google Meet, so I think some representatives from Western will be on there. We have some with us here too today to answer some questions, but really we're hoping to make this as informative as possible. My name is Mike Leiter. I'm the principal at the high school, so I'm just super excited to welcome this first group through. It's been a lot of planning. It's been a lot of waiting for this day to happen, and now it's here, and we're just excited to make sure that we have a good experience for everybody. So today is really just informative, and we're going to stick around afterwards. If you have more questions or individual questions, we'll be happy to help you. We have counselors here, middle school principal. We have a lot of people here that can help you answer your questions today, so hopefully you leave here with that. And we will also make this presentation available as well after tonight. So to move forward, just kind of want to go over quickly what tonight's topics are. Excuse me. So really we're going to go over some introductions of who's here, some outcomes for the program, expectations and supports, how to apply. So there's a lot of nuts and bolts things that I think you have questions on that hopefully we can get answered tonight. So hopefully with our representatives from Western, we can also give you some examples of successes that we've seen in other surrounding school districts, as well as from their program that's been around quite a while. So let's get started. Obviously you know me. I have, Michelle, introduce yourself.
I'm Michelle Brzezinski, the Assistant Superintendent for Greenville Public Schools. I'm Mandy Schroeder. I'm one of the counselors at the high school. I'm Roxanne Baker. I'm one of the counselors at the high school.
And then we have some people from Western. Would you guys want to introduce yourselves? Okay. Okay, sorry. You're all over the place here. I can't find everybody. Come on, yeah, whatever you want to do. Come on up, Kay. Come on up. Whatever your comfort level is. Okay. Can you introduce yourself? Even though they all know you, but. So life begins outside your comfort zone, right? So we're going to try to keep pushing a little bit. My biggest, obviously being a Western grad, one of my biggest points of pride for this program is our partnership with Western. So hopefully this is something that flourishes and is very successful. But really, the opportunity to receive a college degree, or what could be a college degree, through high school experiences is absolutely amazing. We have a lot of dual enrollment opportunities and a lot of other opportunities or routes for our kids to gain college credit. But this being a very unique path is going to be something that we're going to obviously celebrate, and hopefully it's something that grows through time. So we're really appreciative of our partnerships. Okay. Let me see if I can do that now. Maybe somebody can describe the program or something. Have Western talk a little bit. Sorry about this, folks. We had to.
No worries. Well, first of all, I just want to say you took a chance on us when your students were in kindergarten. They were itty-bitty. They were barely 5 years old. And you might remember Diane Brissett and Pete Haynes and Susan Ayers. And I think at that time, Sheen and Fawn, and we had teachers at a very early age. And you chose this program with the hope that someday your student would be gaining a Mandarin minor from Western Michigan University. That's our partnership. But also, when they gain their high school diploma, your student will have a step ahead for this global interdependence. So I want to just assure you that we are turning that promise into practice. Do you remember way back when, and there were lots of questions, and you were the first group through? And we also know that this is the first time for this kind of a dual enrollment but it's not our first rodeo with dual enrollment. We have worked extensively with Montcalm Community College. We have worked with other institutions, but we're so excited. And I'm not just saying this because Dr. Leiter is a Bronco. He's a Western alum himself, and I'm a Spartan. But Western has done a great job, and Forest Hills has their first set of graduates. In just a month's time, they are graduating 23 students with a high school diploma and a Mandarin and a minor in Mandarin from Western Michigan University. Some of those students will carry on at Western Michigan University to graduate and earn a major in that area as well. So your students are well on their way. One thing I wanted to assure you is that Keisha is doing a wonderful job of getting your students equipped, because there will be two parts to this application for dual enrollment. The first part is a GPA of 3.0 or higher in their Mandarin classes. So we have worked with the counselors at both the middle school and the high school to calculate those grade point averages. I just want to remind you that that's not for all of their classes during middle school, but just their Chinese immersion classes. A GPA of 3.0 or higher, that's the first component. And then the second component is passing a test that will happen this spring in order to be considered for dual enrollment. And that application process is something that we have linked for you tonight. Both components are needed. The application process is not something that we control through Greenville Public Schools. We just make it available to you. If for any reason the student is not able to pass that test in May, we have another opportunity for you at the end of summer, recognizing that some students may need to study a little bit more in order to be able to pass the test. So if for any reason those two components aren't ready to go for you, we'll have a second chance at that. So I just want to pause for a minute and see if there are any questions about the two components, one being the GPA in the Chinese immersion classes, and one being the passing of the test. One of the things that Kay brings to us is not just the relationships with your students, who she's known pretty much all the way through, but the rigor of the expectations. And that's something else we want to talk about tonight. With the dual enrollment program, it is like taking a college credit and taking college classes while you're in high school. So one of the things that's very important is for us to provide support. And you can provide support for your student right there at home by ensuring that all the homework is completed from the Chinese class. That is one of the best ways for your student to be successful in dual enrollment. Welcome, Kimmy. Can
Hello?
you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Would like to introduce
Sorry
Kimmy.
for that.
We'll also share our slides again so that we can show you what those expectations are and how you would. That's okay. The next one that we'll move on to is the expectation for the program and for dual enrollment. How to apply. All right, I'll turn it back over to Dr. Leiter to talk about how to apply, and we'll see the link to the form right there.
Kimmy, do you want to talk about this slide? Are you okay?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's fine. So I'm going to click over real quick. And one of the things that changed last year was that we pushed our application online. So prior to last year, it was a paper form. So what you would end up doing is just following this link and filling in all of the information that it's asking you to fill in. You're going to have to create a password to log into the portal, and you're going to want to remember that password. So I would write it down, keep it someplace safe, because it's going to ask you to go back there to finish setting up your Western account information. When you go through and do the application, you're going to want to make sure that you use an email address that's not connected with your school. A lot of times a school email will block our Western emails. So we really want to make sure that you guys get that information and get the information like as soon as it's available. So please use an email address that's not connected to your school. The second one that you need to remember is to have an email address on hand for your counselor and a parent/guardian. You're going to have to fill that information in as well. It usually doesn't bounce the counselor emails, but for parents, you're going to want to make sure that you are checking your spam folder or your junk folder, because the emails that come to the counselor and the parent/guardian for permission for the student to take the courses doesn't come directly from Western. It comes from pre-college programs or Salesforce or TargetX, some platform name. It's not directly from WMU. And it's not from me. So you won't see my name on it. So make sure you have email addresses for those two people on hand. And then the last thing that you really need to make sure that you do is use the student's name and information to create the account. You'd be surprised at how many times we get a student who had mom or dad helping them fill it in, and they used mom or dad's name instead of their name, and then it's a whole debacle trying to get a name change to happen. So please, please, please just use the student information. And then there was something, oh, hey buddy. I think that that's it for the application. It really is easy. You just follow the link and you fill in the information. After that, it automatically creates an account in the Western system for you. And then you will end up using the information that they send you to log in further. So once you're applied and accepted, you're going to get what's called a WIN number, which is the Western Identification Number. And you're also going to get what's called a BroncoNet ID. And those two pieces of information are what you're going to use to log into everything from here on out. It's how you're going to access your e-learning, which is your online platform that your courses will use. You're going to use it to check your email. You're going to use it as your email address. It's everything for you. So please, 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 when you get that information, write it down, save it someplace safe. Worst case scenario, I can look it up for you, but it takes me a little bit of time. So make sure that you're following the directions that come to you after the application. Once you apply, it's going to give you a list of things that are still pending on your account. Those things are going to be pieces of information like parent consent, counselor approval, and transcripts received or something along those lines. It's like a checklist. Once the parent portion is done, it usually takes about 24 to 48 hours for that check mark to be checked off. Because you guys are 8th graders, you're not going to have a high school transcript just yet, so that one might be a sticking point for your stuff to go through right away. As soon as we are able to plug in those high school transcripts, that one will be checked off as well. And then the final one is going to be what's called a third-party authorization. Don't worry about that one. That one will be taken care of on my end because we're trying to streamline that process a little bit. It's the last piece of the process that hasn't been smoothed out. So don't worry about that piece. And then you're done. That's it. I know that sounded like a lot, but I promise you, once you do the application part, it's all smooth sailing from there. So,
So
I
Kimmy, will they,
believe
will they
that
need a transcript for, it's coming from the middle school? Should we create one on our end? Or is that something
yes.
we, okay.
No, you're going to have to create one. And what we've had schools do in the past is use their Chinese class as a high school grade. And so it's got to be printed on the high school transcript. It can't be on a middle school transcript.
And that has been
Otherwise, our
taken,
admissions, it's a loophole that we have to jump through because they are eighth graders coming in. But it's the only way admissions will recognize them as being able to take a course.
thank you, Kimmy. We actually have taken care of that for all of our Chinese immersion students. We have created that transcript from Greenville High School that will show the GPA for the purpose of application for dual enrollment at Western. After that application process, we will change that GPA to say CR, which says it's credit. It won't count for or against the GPA in high school. Does that make sense? Because those courses were middle school classes, the purpose of that transcript with having it on there is to get into Western Michigan University. After that, we'll simply put CR, and the student has already been waived from their high school world language credits, so to speak, because they'll be in a Chinese class. And we'll show you that course progression in just a moment. But don't worry about the transcript, that's taken care of. Great job to the middle school and the high school collaborating together because those GPAs are all ready to go.
Kim, you want to go to the next slide, or did you stop sharing?
Sorry, yes, I muted myself for a second. I can go to the next slide. Give me just 2 seconds. Okay. There we go. Does that work?
Yep, that works.
Okay.
So expectations for any dual enrollment classes obviously is attendance based. We expect obviously a participation in class every day. You will have supports from your instructor as well as your counselors for academic supports. Prepare for the weekly vocabulary quizzes and tests. I don't know if our instructor from Western would like to talk about this at all, from what's going on at Forest Hills and how that runs.
On their own self. There you go. Oh, I think I have loud voice. Okay, so so second, practice after class every day. So we expect the students to spend at least 15 minutes every day to work on their homework and do some reading on their own. That's very, very important. And number 3, turning homework on time. That's also very important because we have weekly quizzes, and every three weeks we will have 3 or 4 weeks we will have a unit test. So all the homework, all the assignments are designed to help our students to prepare for those quizzes and projects and unit test. So a little bit every day, 15 minutes every day will help them go a long way. And number 5, last one is that students need to learn to communicate with their instructor whenever they have any questions or any questions or any difficulties, or if they feel struggling in studies, they should talk to the instructor so that they can communicate. Yeah. So if there is anything that sometimes the kids need to be absent because of school events, sports, it's fine. Just to communicate with the instructor in advance, and then the instructor will find a way to help you catch up, to make up the absence. So that's our expectation. So basically, the Greenville classes will have the similar syllabus as we have at Forest Hill High School. So, yeah. And we use the same textbooks. Yeah, that's it.
The next slide shows the dual enrollment program in the Chinese course sequence. Year 1, so your students freshman year at Greenville High School, such an exciting time. So they'll be leaving the middle school, they're headed for the high school, and we will have a 6-class schedule next year, meaning that the students will rotate through each of their classes daily. We are hoping that we're going to be moving past some of the COVID schedules and things that we've experienced so far. During their day, they will have one course, and the first will be this Chinese calligraphy class. That will be the first course next year. It's a semester long. The second semester will be basic Chinese 2, and the first year would be complete. So we know that these are semester-long classes, just like they are for college. They are college classes, and we enter the first year that way. In year 2, we will have business Chinese and intermediate Chinese. Then year 3, as a junior, Chinese life and culture and intermediate Chinese 2. And then lastly, Chinese conversation and then Chinese composition. So that's the 4-year course progression. It is important that students stay on track so that they're able to earn the full Mandarin minor equivalent from Western Michigan University, as well as their high school diploma. And then this is also exciting. They will be equipped to have the seal of biliteracy on their diploma. And that's very important because that opens up a lot of doors for employment. On Friday, Dr. Leiter and I will be meeting with Dicastal and some of the management at Dicastal to just think about what opportunities might be in high school for our students as they're taking their Mandarin classes. Could they also perhaps have an internship at Dicastal? Could there be some opportunities for students to explore business and language and interdependency in our fields right here locally? So just want to let you know there's all kinds of opportunities, but this is what it would look like. This is what we are mapping out for high school. Again, it is doable, but we need students to show up and suit up by being prepared with their homework and their studies. We were told that really 90% of success is just giving that effort and following through on the tasks. So if there's one thing you can help us with besides the application process and remembering your logins, it's really ensuring that students do their part in class and outside of class. And I know Kay has been working on that and making sure that students are prepared to follow through.
These classes obviously going to take one area of your schedule, and I think we're going to bump these toward the win time. Mandy and Roxanne, is that correct? So our win time at the high school next year is a what I need time, so it's a intervention enrichment period at the high school. So that's actually more time if they need more support in that language. We're going to bump that class right into that time. So they won't be rushing from one class directly to another class. They'll have a little bit of a gap if they need some more support. Kimmy, can you go to the next slide, please?
I just want to mention one other thing. So as we transition and we're dual enrolled between GPS and Western Michigan University, the Chinese class follows the Western Michigan University calendar, which means that they start at the beginning of the Western Michigan University semester, and then that course ends at the end of the Western Michigan University semester. That may mean that there are a few weeks there in December just prior to the holidays when we're preparing for GPS exams. They may have already taken their course exam, and we will have something for those students to do, but it might be more independent and overseen slightly within our school. So that's where we could do some extensions and enrichments and making sure that students are well cared for, but we follow for the Chinese course the Western Michigan University calendar. Does that make sense? Okay, great. It is a 5-day-a-week situation where we will have the student ready to learn, but we will give supports here too. Sometimes there are graduate assistants, but we have not signed up for that option. We will support the student with our staffing pattern here, and we'll make sure that we're in good communication with you.
Can you talk a little bit about the supports?
I can. Can you hear me? Okay. Um, so some of the supports that we offer are access to a student success coach. Depending on their schedule and your schedule, they will usually meet with students once a week or once every other week. Their role is really just another checkpoint along the way. They do not know Chinese, so they cannot help you with material, but they are very well versed in counseling and teacher education and education in general. So they are professionals who are with you every step of the way, helping you to create action plans if you start to fall behind, or if you feel overwhelmed, or if you need help in how to write an email to your professor. They're also your connection to the university. So if you have a question about how you would access the library or how you would access something through e-learning, our student success coach is there to help with those pieces of information as well. You also have available to you our Collegiate Pathways team, which right now is me, because we are in the process of hiring a new director. But so there will be me and somebody else, plus your student success coach, plus your professor, plus your counselors at your school. You are very well supported all the way around.
Okay, thank you.
So if you don't mind sharing these out so that you could view these at home, and your students may want to hear the student perspective as well.
All right, let's try the first link. Could you play the first one? If not, I can try to open it on my end.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sophia McGrath, and I am a junior at Northern High School in the Western Michigan University Dual Enrollment Program. And I'm going to be talking a bit about my high school experience as a junior. And so I'm just going to be answering some frequently asked questions, such as what is the high school experience like? And so in high school, you really learn a lot about China's culture and the language aspects of China. And so there's basically like a class, and you learn the vocabulary and grammar associated with that class. So that's really cool. And you get to interact with your students or like other classmates and your Chinese teacher. And so that's really good to be able to show their people what you know about Chinese and also to kind of bounce things off each other. So that's awesome. And then there's a variety of activities that you can participate in, which is really good to kind of switch things up every once in a while. And so we do like presentations, skits, etc. It also allows you an opportunity to express your thoughts and opinions about the topic. And there are also different classes, different semesters, which is really good so that you can kind of get some new material and learn like a lot about the different like angles of Chinese culture. It also comes with a ton of fun. You guys, this program is awesome. There is a calligraphy semester where you actually get to use like calligraphy brushes and write your own calligraphy, which is really fun. There's a Chinese club at Northern High School, and there are also like opportunities to learn about China and interact with classmates. In the past, we've also cooked Chinese food, which was so good. And also, we have found ways to celebrate like Chinese holidays, such as a dragon dance we did for our international fair, which was really fun. Some tips I have is to spend time on homework and really try to understand your vocabulary and grammar that you're given. It just helps like later on in your career of learning Chinese. You also should reach out to your classmates and teachers when you get stuck because they're just there to help you. They want to help you succeed. And also put time away to study or put time aside to study vocabulary because there will be vocabulary that you need to know, and it just really helps you whenever you're learning a language. And then really just have fun. This program has so much to offer, and I would recommend it to anyone really. And then some challenges would be again, there's some vocabulary and grammar, but that just comes with learning Chinese. And the best way to do that is just to put time aside and just learn it. And then my sister's going to talk about the transition from middle school to high school.
Hey guys, I'm Tess. I am a freshman, and so I've been doing the Western program for 1 year. I'm here to talk to you about how the high school experience is different from the middle school experience. So, how you can transition, I'd say the workload is pretty much the same. You might have a little bit more with Western, so make sure you have time each night to spend studying your Chinese. So, the homework, like I said, there might be a little more depending on your teacher. But so far, I've had a little bit more this year than I did last year. And then for the tests and quizzes, I have about the same amount. Like I have a quiz every week when I'm learning new vocab words, and then a test every 3 weeks over the units that I learned. Projects. So if you're learning new vocab words, you might have to write a script and then present it in front of the class. And then if you're doing the calligraphy semester, then sometimes you actually write out the calligraphy and then you show it to the class. The difficulty, I'd say it is kind of challenging, so that's why you should spend each night studying, making sure you're getting your homework done, and then but it's not too bad. Then the topics for me the first semester was new vocab words, so learning words from our workbook and then having quizzes and tests on those. And then second semester is learning about calligraphy, the different types of calligraphy, the history, different famous calligraphers. So that's pretty interesting to me. So it can be challenging at times. You do have to put work into it, but it's definitely worth it. I've learned a lot this year, especially about calligraphy and Chinese culture. So good luck.
I am a senior at Forest Hills Northern High, and I'm going to be giving you my experience through WMU's Chinese Immersion Program and what you guys can expect going into it your freshman year. Here's me as a little freshman, and going into my freshman year, I struggled a lot with adapting from a middle school classroom to a college classroom. So towards the end of my freshman year, I was actually put on academic probation, and towards the end of my sophomore year, I did even worse, which led to a counselor telling me that if I did not get a C or above my next semester, I'd be dropped from the program. And I did not want that to happen because I knew it would look bad to colleges, so I made sure I did better. Participation is very important in the classroom. It doesn't just involve raising your hand when you have a question. It includes showing up to class on time, following instructions, not distracting classmates, not falling asleep. And there's just a certain classroom protocol that you guys will have to adapt to in order to succeed in not only your freshman year, but the years after that. Starting off your freshman year, they will offer you competitions, such as the WMU Bridge competition. and they can go more into depth about what that includes. But you should definitely participate in it. It'll look good for colleges, and just make sure you participate at least once before applying to college. It'll look great and help you get into some colleges you may want to. Towards the end of my sophomore year, they offered a summer study abroad program, which gave me the opportunity to go to Beijing and Xi'an, which was great because I had not done much traveling before that. And it actually gave me a new attitude towards learning Chinese. So my junior year, I came back with a B my first semester and I think a B my second semester. So I had done much better after finding a new passion for learning Chinese. So some of you may actually find that through competitions or study abroad programs. So it's not all dull. You'll definitely have the opportunity to participate in some great activities throughout these 4 years. When it comes to extracurricular activities and AP classes and sports, I highly recommend you participate. I had the misconception that WMU's class may take up a lot of my time with studying, and I may not have the time to participate in these, but that's simply not true. Many students were able to participate in all three, in some cases, and excel in the classroom as well. So make sure you do that. It'll look great for colleges, and there's no reason for you not to. WMU's class will not take too much time out of your hands. When you get towards the end of your junior and senior year, you will be offered the opportunity to take the HSK and Advent stamp, which the Advent stamp will help you earn a certification of biliteracy. So you will be legally bilingual coming out of high school if you graduate, finishing the program, which is great. In summary, hold on, let me get my camera on here. To summarize the program, just make sure you reach out to your professor and don't use Google Translate. Only use Google Translate if you can't get into contact with your professor. And if you do end up using it, you should probably highlight it and say, is this the proper term to use for this word? And they will let you know if it is or isn't. Besides that, I guess just do your Memrise. Memrise is a weekly assignment where you just kind of do some vocabulary practice. If you don't do it every week, it'll definitely tank your grade, so make sure you do your Memrise, and I guess get excited for all the opportunities you will be given in the next four or 5 years.
I feel like a student panel of all those kids would have been great, right? Just that's the real stuff you want to hear is what they're experiencing. So I think that's our last slide, and I apologize for the technical difficulties. We got through it though, so we do have people here for questions. I want to make sure you don't leave here with the questions tonight, so please think about some things and any questions you may have about the application process, your daily activities, how your schedule is going to look, what the program looks like, what's the end game for all this, anything like that?
Yes, we can have an email address sent tomorrow, and that way we can be in touch with our high school counselors as well as Western Michigan University personnel, because both are here to help you. We want to make sure that this process is as smooth as possible. And again, we're here to help you through Greenville Public Schools too.
We add a slide to this before Kay sends it out tomorrow with information, contact information.
Yes, and we'll also, we're going to put into the Google Classroom the link for applying so that it's at your fingertips. And then again, I'm just taking Kimmy's advice to write down those passwords so that you have all of that information, because this will stay with your students as Western Michigan University students as well. I anticipate that we will hear about our faculty, and these are tenure track professors who will come here to Greenville High School and teach your students. And again, it's turning that initial promise into practice and following through on what you were told when your students were itty-bitty as kindergartners and beginning. It's so exciting to be with you. You are our first cohort, our first group, and I just thank you for all the patience that you've displayed with us as we figure this out together. Forest Hills is a little bit ahead of us. Like I said, 23 students will be graduating in just a month with both their high school diploma and that equivalent of a minor in Mandarin. And hopefully their seal of biliteracy as well. Other questions? Good, I'll come right over. I need to ask Kimmy that question. When is the application due?
So technically June 1, but since I'm in charge of them, there's no real deadline.
So we'll make sure that the test is happening so that we have time for that application or any remediation. Mandy?
I would just say for our students that do dual enrollment at the high school, we really like them to have the application and their information done before we leave for summer in case we run into any kind of a snag, that way that we're still here to help them out. So I would try and encourage you to get the application done before we're done on May 28th.
I'll also just clarify, especially for students who might be in the room, just to make sure that you understand that transcript is still important to keep working on this semester. So our year is not quite over, and we want to make sure that the grades for this semester continue to be strong as well. So be in it to win it, guys. We still need to keep studying. So I don't want you to think like, check, all set, because we are still building those grades, right? And it is important to be a well-rounded student. We want to leave you with a feeling of excitement, like, this is so cool, you guys, it's happening. It's happening right here. And we want to make sure that your student feels well-equipped for all the success that lies ahead. Corey. I'm going to turn it over to Lee for just a moment. Lee, would you speak to that, please?
Yes, we will come to teach at Greenville every day. It's a 5-day class, right? So we will come every day. If it's a 3-credit class, we will teach 3 days and leave Monday and Friday as the student study hour. And we still take attendance. Attendance is still required. If it's a 4-credit course, we will use Friday usually as the office hour. Again, students need to be present at the class. Yeah.
We currently have 2 full-time faculty at Forest Hill, and the same will happen here. It's just that as the program scales up, we will hire first. We are currently hiring the first faculty, and the second faculty will come after the 3rd year. So we are. Another thing, since I have the mic, I'm going to enjoy this. My job is to supervise a department of foreign language at a university that is well recognized. We teach Arabic, Japanese, Chinese, of course, French, German, Latin, ancient Greek. We teach a lot of things. And from my perspective, what I can see is that most Americans, if they are not immigrants, do not get the chance of speaking another language at a level of fluency, which is what your students will have the chance to achieve. Once that happened, I think it's an entirely different ballgame. With a working knowledge, when I mean working professional level knowledge of Mandarin, your students will be able to position themselves at the interface between United States and China. That changed the entire perspective. You can combine Chinese with business, you can combine Chinese with engineering, with the humanities, history, you can combine it with health, with science, and it sends you completely apart, the entire rest of the cohort. So we think it is very precious for your student. Western has the capacity, once you are once the students have finished the high school, has the capacity to completely launch that orbit. We have currently 23 agreements with Chinese universities, some of the best ones. We have study abroad. We can really develop that. We have a great number of faculty that are already bilingual in Mandarin at Western, teaching all kinds of different topics. So we're very eager to continue this. For us, it's exciting to start this collaboration, but we are here to stay.
One other note about the funding of the faculty from Western Michigan University. The district is committed to maintaining that funding. It comes from two sources: general fund, so our general fund of dollars, that's from FTEs, and then also I want you to know from the Education Foundation of Greenville, it is part of our academic enhancement, so R3 campaign, meaning that we're sharing that cost for the coming years, and we want to make sure that your students do have academic enhancements here at Greenville Public Schools. Also, Corey just mentioned that we follow the Western Michigan University calendar for the Chinese course. So there are a few weeks just around the holidays that will also be creative. And students will have plenty to do, and we'll make sure that there is place in everything. Other questions that you might have? Yeah.
Is it each semester is a different class, so is it a different teacher for each semester, or is it the same teacher all year long?
Great question. Lee or Vincent?
Yeah, we are not hiring a part-timer. We're going to hire a full-timer starting in September, and this person will stay with the student and for good. And then we're going to hire a second full-timer in 2 years to complete the program. So yes, it's not going to be just part-timers. It is two different systems. Advanced placement are taught by high school teachers with a separate training, and it just the credits that the student will earn, the 28 credits, would transfer very likely to any other university, but we cannot say that they will transfer as a minor. That is a minor from Western. Each university have their own requirement for that. But in any case, 28 university credit is a big chunk to start with. It's practically an entire year of the 4 year that the normal students would take to get a bachelor degree.
Corey, we can offer the advanced placement test with the test only, even if we don't have an approved College Board Chinese program. So we can send kids up for the AP test just for the test only without taking the class, so that's no problem.
I just didn't know if that was on the horizon for the program.
Absolutely.
Or if it was needed at some point.
I don't think it's part of this program, but it's definitely an option at our school.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. And also, just thinking about a student who is not dual enrolled, I think of our own son who left Greenville Public Schools and went to U of M with 23 college classes and not dual enrolled. So you could have that even before the Chinese immersion. So you could leave Greenville Public Schools with almost a year under your belt for the equivalent, and then also AP courses. So the sky's the limit, and we want to help them find success, but we also want them to be well-rounded students, right, and individuals. Jen?
I don't think I need that. I'm loud enough.
Okay.
That was one of my questions. Was do you think these students will have the opportunity to take other college classes, or do you think between high school requirements and Western requirements for this program, they will not have the time?
Okay, that is a great question, and I love that second student clip, that one where the gentleman spoke about be involved in a lot of different things. I'm going to see how well I'm thinking like a high school counselor right now. We have a lot of single section students here. They may be in orchestra, they may be in AP classes, they would be in Chinese. So those are specialty classes. So we're going to have to work very creatively with our counseling department. We don't make any promises, but we'll try to open up all those doors. Lots of these students have known each other and been together since they were 5 years old. So they might be together for a lot more time, right? It could be possible that they're together for more of the high school day than is typical, because of these single section offerings. So if you have AP Calculus and you have Chinese and you have orchestra, there's 3 locked in right there. What we're trying to do is not make you choose with an opportunity cost. So I had to choose music at the cost of something else. And that's where we need to work with our counseling department to make sure that we strategically place these courses. Does that make sense? How did I do, guys? Okay. These sold. These are great questions, and I want to make sure that if you didn't get a chance to ask the question right now, we'll stick around. We have the counseling department, we have Western Michigan University, we have Dr. Leiter, and I just want to thank you for your investment. You knew from an early age that this is something you wanted for your student and for your family, and we want to make that happen for you. So we're thrilled to work with Western Michigan University. And again, I just want to say that's not just because Dr. Leiter is a Bronco, but I feel like it's a great partnership, and we promise to stick right with you and with your kids.
All right, well, thanks, everybody. We're going to stick around if you have questions. Kimmy's also going to stick around for a minute online, so she can maybe provide more program-specific questions. We have representatives from Western here, so we're kind of at your disposal, but I appreciate you coming out. We're excited for this program. We think it's going to be a huge success, and we're happy you're along with us on this journey, because I think it's going to be a pretty special thing. So thank you, and have a good night.